before we get to this next thing, does anyone have any questions about the spline joint of any type? Anyone else there? No, okay. Yeah, then
Okay.
sorry to cut you off.
Last week, the discussion was a little bit about, well, why do you want to buy a domino machine and just use a biscuit joint? I brought a bunch of samples that I've had in my little pile here for years of different types of joints. Domino, biscuit, domino. These four are mortise and tenon joints. These are a biscuit joint. The biscuit joint is really, as far as I'm concerned, it's really good for just gluing up flat surfaces, and you just basically want register.
Let me hold it up so we can see this.
This happens to be a number 10 or a 0. These are the smallest ones. But it basically allows you to do glue-ups with flat surfaces. And you can do it for a few other things. But let me show you what you can't do with it.
Oh, wait, is that backwards?
Yeah, the two lines. There's lines on both sides. There you go.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah, and he's got lines there, and when you do it, you
Tabletops, just
and
big flat surfaces. Okay.
and
Here's the disadvantage. Not really a lot of strength. The bigger ones are a little bit stronger, but they give you really good registry. Now, this is a compound mortise joint done on a domino machine. It's two different angles and a mortise and tenon joint. The advantage of it is perfect registration on both surfaces. It will not move when you glue it up.
this way like this, like that.
There you go.
Yeah, so basically like that.
Two different angles. When you glue it up, it will not move. It's very strong. You couldn't do that with a biscuit joiner. You could register it with a biscuit joiner, but it would slide this way. It'll register this way, because the biscuit joiner will do an angle, but it would slide on you that way. So that's one advantage of a domino machine. Another advantage of a mortise and tenon joint is trying to do something that big. Okay? That's like a half inch, a 3/4 inch mortise and tenon joint on an angle. This is 8/4 stock walnut. Really great strength. Easy to glue up. I could take a clamp, put that together, boom, no sweat at all. Another thing you can do with a domino machine is these are bent lamination slats that I made for a bench seat. Every one of them was dominoed on the end, both ends. I put a domino in that end. The mating part of the bench seat was like a frame. I had 16 of these to glue together. You put them all in, they're perfectly registered, they don't move. The distance between each one of them is perfect. Can't do it with a biscuit joiner. Another application for the domino machine are miter joints. Again, you can do that with a biscuit machine, but it's going to slide on you. You could put two dominoes in there and register it, clamp it up. It's not going to move. You get perfect registration. So, all these have a unique application for the domino machine. The other thing about the machine, you take the machine to your workpiece. You don't bring the workpiece to the machine. The machine that these two were done on an FMT machine made by Lee, a frame mortise stand. You have to bring the workpiece to the machine. Try doing it with a 16-foot long board. Ain't gonna happen. The domino machine, you could bring it 5 miles down the road, okay?
Or under your pillow like you're saying.
And then here's another advantage of the domino machine for doing the same thing the biscuit machine will do. Go ahead and, okay?
So here,
Registration, no lateral movement, and when you put it together, it's rock solid. It's not going anywhere. Yeah. And these aren't even the bigger, these are number 6 dominoes, but $200 versus $13, just ask yourself a question. What do I want to do? What can't I do? That's all.
yep. And we're not trying to sell these things, we're just,
No, we're
basically-
not salesmen for Festool.
yeah, just saying, hey, you know, the question comes up is,
Yeah,
like,
it's just-
do you really need this stuff? And it's like,
Yeah, where do you want to go? Do you just want to glue flat boards together and make tables? Buy a biscuit joiner or do a spline joint. You can do a spline joint too, same thing. So, okay, any questions?
Yeah. Oh,
Oh, go ahead, Dennis.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Sorry to, keep asking questions, but when
That's why
you're
we're here.
doing and you're putting those angled joints together,
yeah.
does the domino have to go at an angle too?
The domino machine has a plate on the front that will rotate up to 90 degrees and down, so you can do angles. The disadvantage with every biscuit joiner except a Porter cable, they've got the most unique fence system that it will do 90 degrees this way, and then it's kind of hard to describe. I can bring it next time. But then you can do the opposite direction. So you can do an obtuse angle and an acute angle. The beauty of that is depending on which surface you're working off of, you don't have to change the machine. You can register off of this surface or you can register off of that surface by just adjusting the plate, but you don't adjust the cutter. So you get a perfect mating surface, like right there. So if I do have several biscuit joiners and I only use the Porter cable biscuit joiner when I'm doing compound angles like the Coopered seat that go in two different directions. I don't have to change the setting. Once you change the setting, you've messed up your registration. That's the purpose of the whole thing. So Porter cable, they've been making this biscuit joiner for 20 years, 25 years. It's really great. So, but
yeah. And one example is I made one of my first project was a coffee table, getting all the legs lined up properly with anything other than the expensive tool would have taken probably 10 times as long to do. With that thing, it was just knocking them out real quick and everything set up ahead of time. You just hit it with the nice tool and
the prototype 48-inch coffee table
yep.
I made with dowels because I didn't have I made a long time ago and didn't have the domino machine, and the dowels worked, but the registration was off a little bit. But I was able to compensate using as I sculpted it in. But the problem with the dowels is the legs. You had to really be careful that they would twist like this. So just again, you in my world, you come up with a design and then you figure out how to make it.
right.
Period. I was gonna kind of get on it a little bit. He always draws everything really well. I never draw plans, which just drives him crazy. So
No.
why don't we? Since Joan showed up, I thought you might be here, but
You forgot. to
why don't
remind
you
me of
introduce
traffic.
yourself,
Oh,
Joan?
hey, there's traffic on.
Yeah. If you don't mind, Kevin.
Yeah. Oh, this is
Hey,
Joan
folks.
Rivers. Go
Yes, Joan Rivers, and what are we adding for intro?
ahead.
Craftsman, designer, artist.
Yeah, check out his stuff on Instagram and Drome_Rivers_art. Yeah, and he does amazing work, and he's likes talking about this stuff too. So.
Tell me about what you've done for the last 3 months, just with the reclaimed wood with the DC and then where you're going now.
Last year, spent a long time getting a 2,000 square foot studio space together to make some high-end reclaimed wood furniture. So a lot of live edge tabletops, a ton of milling, and just custom fabricated pieces. Mostly tables. I did. I got the saw stop and the domino. Used a lot of these techniques.
Well, to me, this is a big piece of wood, right? The stuff that Joan has been doing, I mean, it takes a little lift and you know, 3 guys to move it. So he's been doing some big stuff.
Some 500-pound slabs.
Yeah, making
You
some
know,
really cool
they're
stuff.
cut like over 4 inches thick, so when they dry, they're closer to 3, and then still have a lot of material to grind away to get them perfectly flat, and then find some wet spots and let them dry some more. So it's an adventure. Definitely not as it's a lot more time consuming than
buying
getting
wood.
dimensional. Yeah, a whole lot more.
So as time goes on, and you know, and as questions arise, Joe, like I said earlier, is an artist who has changed his medium to wood, which is really a fascinating journey and I've watched him do that in the last 6 years. So again, just glad you made it. He's actually we got to figure out how to make a
The next gen rocker.
next gen rocker. He got a commission for